Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Conscious Partners Network. We are Rockers Corner Radio, Stockade Promotions Radio, Kingdom Nubia Radio, Strong Vibes Radio, Ito On Air Radio, Culture Vibes Radio, Roots Dynamic Radio, Afro Carib Radio, Reggae Wave Radio, Reggae Storm Radio. We are raising the awareness of artists across the globe.
The Reggae Business Talk Show is a show about knowledge, a show about information, a show where we arm you, the artist, with the tools needed to navigate your way through the music business, the business of music. Sit back and relax and listen. This is the Reggae Business Talk Show on Stockade Promotions Radio. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Stockade Promotions Radio, and or the Stockade staff. The information given on this radio program is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice.
You're welcome to the Reggae Business Talk Show.
I'm just a man, not a rich.
Listen keenly.
A Rasta man. Yes, we did talk business together, and we pretty understand each other. Why sticking me up for an extra? I got to run for my life. I got to run from those wicked guys. I'm just a man, not a rich man, a Rasta man. Yes, I always like to trust a lot of ones, but it seems to me like something going wrong. I got to run for my life. I got to run from those wicked guys. I'm just a man, not a rich man, a Rasta man.
Okay, you're welcome to the Reggae Business Talk Show. I'm having a slight technical difficulties right now, but bear with me.
Yes, the music business is not like before. Distribution gets so desperate. You got to be careful dealing with distribution. Without the artist, there is no company. I got to run for my life. I got to run from those wicked guys.
Okay, first and foremost, I gotta bless up Mr. Busby for an awesome show. Awesome show. 4 p.m. till 6:30 each and every Sunday. I'm gonna make a connection with my panel right now. And you're welcome to the Reggae Business Talk Show. Bear with me.
I got to run for my life. I got to run from those wicked guys. I'm just a man, not a rich man, a Rasta man.
Okay, I'm hoping I got the panel right now. Have I got the panel here?
I'm here.
All right, bless up. All right. Chrissy, have we got Chris?
You have.
All right. Fitzroy.
Your greetings, General, and all the members.
Lady G.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Good. As per usual, I want to bless up the panel for sharing with us their precious time and, you know, bringing you this show, the Reggae Business Talk Show, which we are all passionate about. This week, as per usual, for the last two shows, we've been missing Roddy Campbell, and that is only and solely due to Roddy Campbell starting a brand new job, and he's yet to be able to work out his scheduling, which will allow him to be part of this show. As soon as Roddy Campbell is able to, make that connection with the show again, once his schedule is all sorted out with his working place, Roddy Campbell, God's willing, we'll be back on this show. Okay, as per usual, also we do the introduction, so I'm going to start it with the scientist. As per usual, introduce yourself, please. Tell the people who you are and why you're doing this show.
Yeah, greetings to the panel and all the listeners. Thank you for listening. The reason why I'm doing this show is basically endorsing what you just hear. I think that Burning Spear singing. Right, and there's a lot of piracy and a lot of crookery in the music business, and we're just there trying to educate the upcoming artists so they don't have to go through what we went through.
Okay, thank you very much, scientist. Lady G.
Yes, welcome everyone to the Reggae Business Talk Show, edition 15. I'm Lady General from Stockade Radio and Stockade Promotions. And we're here trying to arm you, the reggae artist, with the knowledge.
Thank you, Lady G. Fitzroy.
Yes, greetings, panel and staff, all listening, all the affiliates and carriers of the show. I'm Fitzroy Francis of Mightyful 13 Records and, record producer, road manager. And I take the pleasure in sharing what I have learned through the year to all who in the business so they can avoid the catastrophe of our ancestors and even today, the young ones that in this show, I take my time and privilege to be here to guide them with whatever I learned. So that's why I'm here today on the Reggae Biz Show.
Thank you very much, Fitzroy Francis, and it's always a pleasure having you guys on the show. Let me come to Chris Hills.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Chris Hills, and myself and Kofi own a very small boutique record label and management company called Coffee and Cream. And part of our role is what the program is all about, is to help emerging artists get the first step in education before they move forward in the music business.
You know, it just dawned on me, I used to call it Kofi and Cream.
It's pronounced Kofi if the spelling has got the apostrophe across the E, so right. There's something divine that intervened and right. Kofi and myself coming together.
Right, brilliant. Thank you very much. And I'm General Culture, been in the industry for about 21 years, started as a producer. Then we started Stockade Promotions and Stockade Radio, became a part of that with myself and Lady General. And on doing these shows, one of the reasons why, we're doing this show is because at the time of interviewing a lot of artists, we came to realize that many of the artists hadn't secured themselves. And it was really sad to hear their story when so many of the artists out there are still fighting for what is due unto them. And you heard a story from Dawn Penn. She was one of those who is still fighting for what is due unto her. She's just one of the latest who've appeared on our show, and you've heard her story and how passionate she is about gaining what is hers. There's still Barry Ace who's fighting, for what is his, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So today we are going to be talking about estates. What happens when an artist dies? Where does all that profit go, or personal belongings of an artist? For instance, if artist A dies, do the children inherit that automatically? Or have they got to go through court battle upon court battle upon court battle to get what is due on to them? So I'm going to come to scientists to kick off the show, because we're going to be talking about estates.
Yeah, we see this unfortunate story with just about all the dead artists that have kids, where the record company and the producers continue to collect the money and not settle the estate. The legal term is settle the estate. Don't care what kind of a contract the artist had with the record company. After the artist died, that contract also died with the artist, because you cannot have a contract with a dead person. Why? Because if you made an agreement to give the dead person a dollar a month, and you're now not giving that dollar a month, the dead person has no way to enforce the contract.
Let me stop you there. How did you come to that conclusion?
By studying the music law and studying general law, studying contract law. And the legal term is you have to settle the estate. So don't care what kind of contract the record company had. Right, they have to go settle the estate. Now you can't. How is a dead man going to enforce his contract from a grave? Who's going to talk to him? And what we're finding, all of these dead artists like Dennis Brown, so forth, the producers collects the money.
Yes. Let me just stop you for a second. I do apologize for my manners. We're missing Doozer as well, and Dobidu is in transit from one state to another. I think he's traveling somewhere this evening or this afternoon, so that's why Dobidu couldn't be with us this evening. So we are missing him. Hopefully, if he's able to, he'll be part of the show. Dobidu, bless up yourself. Thank you very much, Lady General, for bringing that to my attention. I told you I'm out of sync today. But let me come back to a scientist to finish off what he was saying.
Yeah, and a lot of these dead artists that have kids, a lot of them, almost every one of them, if you put all of the names into a bag and you push it down, you're very likely to come up with one of them that not getting the estate hasn't been settled and they're not getting money. Like an example, Junja produced a huge catalog. When I talked to Junja's daughter, they haven't gotten any money from the record company, and the list goes on. And it's an unfortunate situation. So what we here to try to advise the artists to do, you must have a will, and you must put inside a contract that when you decease, the worst happen, well, you have X amount of days and you have to go look for my family and whoever my heirs are, and you have to settle the estate with them.
Right.
You should put a clause in your contract. Also put a clause in your contract that you're not signing over any copyright, because what I've seen happen in the past, the family, the daughter, the wife, whoever, they don't know anything about in perpetuity and copyright, and then the record company now and say, here, I have some money for you, sign here. They don't understand that as the estate, that they are signing away their dad or their husband copyright forever, and you'll never ever get an next penny. And is why I've been saying, when it comes to signing our intellectual property right, it shouldn't be just you sign here. The law should mandate that it have to go through counsel. The next side must go and get an independent lawyer. And these things, when it comes to sign our copyright, it can't use any little trick word. It must be clearly defined that you are now signing away your property, and you will never ever get an next penny if you accept this money. It shouldn't be tricky legal scumbag lawyer words in perpetuity that is only the lawyers and judges know about, and then basically you don't realize that you just sign away Yabu rights for $3,000. Our we call it our culture.
Yeah. Am I the only person that is thinking my mic is sounding okay? Because where I am at, it's showing me that my microphone is okay. I'm gonna try and tweak it up, and
I can't hear you good. It's fine on my end.
I can hear you too.
What about people in the chat room? I need to hear people in the chat room because I need them to hear what we are really talking about, so I can tweak it as we go along. Please let me know.
It should the same feed. So if we are hearing you, they're supposed to be hearing you too.
Amen. Right. If it is for any reason very low, please let us know, and as we go along, I will be tweaking. Let me come to Chrissy. Chris.
Boy, why did you pick me?
Me and you were talking, and I was a little bit.
I must admit that I said to you, and I was concerned about the subject that we're covering, because there's two different parts to this, because we're covering copyright to a certain degree, which is the ownership of property.
Yeah.
And whether it's a house or whether it's your creative work, it's the same laws that apply to it, death and everything else.
Yeah.
But then they've got the other situation where you've got sound recordings with their own rights around them. And that's the likely thing that's going to get signed over to a record label or publisher or something like that. And when you and I spoke, I gave you a scenario that maybe a record label came along, and advanced someone a large sum of money, say $100,000 or pounds, and then by sheer bad luck, that guy goes on the road and 2 weeks later, he passes away.
Yeah.
Now, you know, what happens in that situation where there's that advance that's been made, and when we were talking about contracts coming to an end, then yeah, obviously through his death that contract's come to an end, but there's an outstanding agreement of an advance of money that should be settled by the estate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that person or the estate has got no money to settle that, where do we go from there? Is there a further agreement that's made with that record label that says that once that amount of money has been recovered by them, that all their relationships come to an end? Or do you see that? That was where I was struggling.
Wonderful scenario, right? So a record company advance artists X amount of money. Some unfortunate reason, while that contract is enforced, the artist died a week or a day or a second after he got the money in his bank account. What happens? Well, that part of the contract would get hold up. Well, the record company would need to prove, well, I gave him $100,000. He died. All right. So after he proved that and established that, then that's that. So the record company is allowed to carry out the procedure that before the artist deceased. Now, after that part of it fulfilled, right, the record company still has the obligation, still have to.
Right.
They still have to. Matter of fact, he died. They have to still call the family and say, well, we gave the artist this amount of money. Here's the bank transfer, even though you didn't have it in your thing, but this is what happened. The record company doesn't really business if he took the money and give it and buy his pet dog food. They don't care about that. But here's a contract, here's the bank transfer that he did get the money. The estate verified that the money did reach a bank account, and the record company still have to say this is what was said in writing, this is what he signed to, and a judge looking at all those circumstances is going to rule that the record company still can carry out the contract based on the duration of the contract.
Yeah.
And then the estate, all right, have the right now to enforce. Well, then you say you're going to pay him X amount of dollars at X amount of time. So they're acting now as the artist. So the record company still have to go talk to somebody else. The record company can't just say, well, then he's dead and we don't have to talk to anybody.
Okay, so let's go to someone like Henry Jonjo Laws, for instance. What would prevent his siblings or his children or his family from gaining what is due unto them?
Well, that's a touchy subject right there. The record company is breaking the rules. They have to go and settle the estate. You're going to hear, well, then he signed over all of this to us before he died. But again, producer can't assign rights. So if I was the artist and the producer died and the record company started owning copyright from the producer, first of all, producer cannot assign copyrights. It doesn't care how much money the producer spend. He cannot take your intellectual property right and assign it to the record company. So if in Jonjo's situation, what the artists need to do is to contact the record company and say, well, then the producer died, and where's my share of the money? What's been happening in reggae a lot, the record company's been paying the producers, and a lot of the time the producer is some dan dada, and the producer believe it's my money spent, so I own it, and not paying the artist any money.
Right.
And a lot of time, like with Jonjo contract, I saw what Jonjo signed. You know, come on, man, please. It's a ripoff. And again, you know, the man was illiterate. He couldn't read and write, and we have evidence that he's illiterate. So whatever contract he signed, void and nullified. Why? Because he didn't have counsel.
Let me come to Lady General.
And I guess this is another thing that you have to look out for in a contract, to make sure that there are clauses that are placed in there that will, you know, cover those instances. And I just want to say that, you know, none of us on the panel are qualified to give legal advice, and we're not giving legal advice. And this is just a discussion. But the only advice we would give is, when you are, like scientists said earlier, hire an attorney, you know, hire legal counsel to help you with the signing of the contract, because the best thing to do is to seek legal advice. If there's anyone out there right now going through something like this, seek legal advice from an experienced attorney or lawyer or solicitor, depending on where you are in the world, in that field that you're seeking, you know, the information from. And also, Monarchio placed some information in the chat room. And the thing for me is that whatever's in the contract, it will be affected by any will that the artist makes. And
so does the contract override the will, or does the will override the contract?
Well, no, the will is just enforcing the artist's last wish. If say the will say take all the money and go buy Rover the dog food, that is what it is.
And that depends, because it's legal counsel will have to look at the contract and look at the will. Usually the will would take precedence. Again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just
yes,
saying,
it would.
Usually,
yes,
yeah. But there might be something.
The final word. The will is the final wishes of the deceased person.
Yes, but there might be something in the contract that will affect something.
No, because when the artist dies, the contract also dies. So it's whatever is in the will at that point.
Well, yeah, but if you have a clause in the contract that talks about what to do after you die, you know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if you say if the clause in the contract says, I want everything to go to my spouse, and then in your will, depending on where you live, you've said, everything I own is going to my son, you know, then we have a problem. And so it depends on
how. Well, if you say in the will everything is going to my son, right? And then no, the son have the authority as we call it, forget legal. The son have the authority to now go talk to the record company.
Yeah, but the thing is that with that, the thing with that is that
he's giving power of attorney. He's giving power of attorney. Anything that the will say, if the will say that the spouse have power of attorney, then with the power of attorney, when you have power of attorney, then you can go solicit the record company, you can audit them, you can bring any action against them because the will says that. So the will, when you look at it with common sense, will enforce. The will is somebody else is talking. The will says when you decease, or when the person deceased, my son or whoever is the person who is in command. So the record company, whether they like it, yes or no, they can't ask, well, I have a contract with your father. Well, I'm acting in my father's behalf. So
yeah, and depending.
Go ahead, Lady Ju.
And depending on where you live, the spouse.
I don't think not depending where you live. If the will says, don't care where you live on the moon. The will says, when the person deceased, these are my final wishes, and this is what I want to happen. This is the person that I'm putting in charge.
Yeah, and what I was.
Matter where you live.
And what I was going to say was, according to the contract and depending on where you live, the spouse now has a claim that can be made against the will because, you know, they're the legal spouse.
Well, if you live in a state where the spouse is automatically the heir, the successor.
Not necessarily. Just the fact that they're the spouse will give them a claim. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you live in some states where when the person, the husband, deceased, everything automatically go to the wife, right? Then the wife can call up the record company and say, "Hey, where is this?" And the state will uphold it because that is what the law is. And there happen to be no will. Automatic, and like just in some states, if you live with a woman or two people live together over X amount of time, it becomes and recognized as common law marriage.
Yeah.
So if you're living in a state that recognizes common law marriage, and the person who had a contract deceased, then the state is going to say, well, then yes, you have common law marriage, you can sell a house, you can do whatever, you can go into the bank account, whatever. So of course the person can now enforce a contract.
And this is why, like scientists said earlier, you know, you need to hire a lawyer, because as you can see, it gets really complicated. And I mean, this is just, we're just talking about this one issue here, and we could go back and forth on it.
Well, let me come to Fitzroy Francis so he can add his contribution to this conversation.
Yes, General. Well, as we know, this is a very, sometimes these agreement between record companies and artists and bands always is misunderstood, because as Chris said, very important that sometimes the sound recording have to be defined in a contract, because if a record company spend their money to produce a record, then you know they have to recoup whatever money they spend, whether artist died or not.
Which
you know,
can
so
get really nasty.
And then in Jamaica, you know, like for instance, scientists say like Junja laws, where we as independent producers, we spend our money, then we find a company for a distribution, maybe them give us a fee. So even with that fee, we still have to know how much was disbursed to the producer or to the label, and all these things are recoupable. And then when these things are recoupable, whether the artist live or die, then money can be made, you know, from the estate have to know all these things too. So it takes lawyers, you know, and people with legal education to really define these things, you know, because mechanical royalties after publishing royalties have to be paid, and artist royalty have to be paid.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, all these
things have to be repaid from money being recouped. You know, because if you get a record, if you get a distributor your product, for instance, Junja laws, we know that Greenston never give him any money, allegedly then, because I can't say they did.
Well, I can't tell it because I was the All
right, that's why I say allegedly. So if he give VP, if he give Greensleeve his music, say distribute that, and them say, all right, we're gonna give you X amount of money for this project.
Yeah.
And if that music don't sell, the money that is being disbursed, then he will be in debt to Greensleeve.
Yes.
So we have to clear up these things. Because we have to have accountant now. Accountability is where this is important too. If you know, say, boy, we put the books on the line, we'll see the sales and know, say, all right, well, the record company give him X amount of money and them sell X amount of money, so they actually owe him. Because sometimes you will get a money from a record company and them don't really sell as much as they gave to you. So, you know, it's very complicated. So we have to, with lawyers, we also have to have accountant. So to balance the book, to know who owe and the rights to be dispersed in the proper way.
9 out of 10 times the whole story is the record companies, like one in particular, they never recoup. Then why don't get out the business? Because the record you put out, you claim it don't recoup, but you still keep putting out the next record. And 9 out of 10 times as we hear what Burning Spear was singing in the song, it's true. They are saying they're not recouped. And then they put some clause, oh yeah, you can't audit us, but to go audit a record company, go and take $1,000, so they're laughing. You see, the problem is one-sided. The record company can show you whatever books and make up whatever numbers they want to make up. And when you look, you hear it's too much artists saying that the record company didn't do a lot of things they're supposed to do, and too much artists, Prince and all of them, is talking out against record companies. Why? How the whole process is one-sided. The whole distribution thing, once you allow them to manufacture, it is one-sided, not unless you know how to audit and you have to get weird and press and all kind of stuff, and they laugh because they know the average artist doesn't know anything, not going to have the money to afford it.
So let me come back to contracts.
No, before we move on, can I just mention we've talked about a situation with a will, which, as complicated as it is, has already got things put down to follow. But if there's no will, is when it gets really complicated as well, and that's going to be the situation in a lot of cases. And it depends, I guess. I haven't looked at it long enough for different places, but looking at what goes on in the UK, if there's no will, then there's a hierarchy of attribution where the spouse, if there's still a married, civilly engaged spouse, on their own they get the estate. But then if there's children and grandchildren, it gets more and more complicated in terms of apportioning the estate at death. So we can sit here and we can say, like we keep saying to people, go and register your work, and we can also say you need a will, but a lot of people won't have a will, you know. And each country, I think, will find different scenarios around that situation.
Well, what you said right. In most countries, if there is no will, the default is there a wife who is the oldest child. The problem with it, sometimes you have, like in Jondra's case, it might be 5 different baby mother, and then the oldest child is probably in question, and then the oldest child get the will.
I think in the scenario that was put in Britain, it's the person that you're civilly engaged to, married to at that point in time. The ex-wives don't have any...
no, the ex-wife don't have any say. Is the person that he engaged to or living with at the time going to be the default? The next thing they're going to look at, who are the kids, who is the oldest, and they usually give it to the oldest one, the oldest boy, so forth. The problem with that part of it, when there's no will that says, well, then Mike is going to be in charge, and Paul and Junior and everybody else must get this amount of money. After in time, if it's different fathers, different mothers, then one child run away with everything and don't give the others any. That's not anything to do with the record company, but artists should leave wills. And the next thing I would encourage artists to do is don't sign any automatic renewal of a contract. Anytime you get an automatic renewal of a contract, the next day mail them out a letter and say, if you do sign it, I will not be what you call it, renewing this contract. How the hell you going to remember 10 years from now that you must renew your contract? So what happens when the person deceased? What the record company do technically can't jump up and say the contract automatically renew. Why? Because the dead man can't enforce his contract, so he still have to go and settle the estate. We have people like our friend here, Trevor Castell. The same thing happening with his brother Lacksley Castell, and all these dead artists. Dennis Brown family not getting the money, because Carly family, they're not getting any money because there was no will. There was several different baby mamas. The same thing went on with John Holt, and all the list goes on. And then you find the producer. A lot of time the record companies, they do pay the producer, and not saying that what them pay the producer is fair, but the problem that we have in Jamaica, the record company is relying on the producer to pay the royalty, And we know that a bunch of these producers not going to go pay, like example, Coxon and Don Penn. You know what? Look what's going on with Coxon now. Coxon leaves such a mess where none of the grandkids, none of the body won't ever collect a 1 ounce of publishing because Coxon didn't put anybody's name. You see, technically, every time you pick up a record, an album, and you see credit, technically that's a registration of work. That if Coxon did put it on his album, then the estate probably could have said, well, then my dad played bass on this, and where's my dad publishing money? But you know, Coxon created a big mess by not putting people's name on records.
Go ahead, Lady G.
And I wanted to just ask scientists, going back to what Chris was saying earlier, if there's no will, I mean, not that we want people to die without making a will. A will is really, really important. But what about beneficiaries in a contract, scientists?
It's the same thing. Like when you go to a bank, they always ask you who is the beneficiary. So if anything happened, they know, well, then if this person show up, give them the money is a form of will, because you're leaving a statement that these are your final wishes. If anything happened to you, then this person is next in command.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I tell you, to strengthen it, the person not necessarily have to die. If the person is in a situation where the person gets triple cane brain dead,
yes.
then that will can be enforced.
So the automatic beneficiaries, first and foremost, will be the wife.
In most countries, the wife, the wife.
And where there is a divorce, then it will go to the children if children are involved, the oldest child, right?
Well, yes. That part can be tricky because in some divorce case where I personally don't agree with it. Your Honor, I don't like the woman anymore. I don't like her. Why should I continue to give her money, Your Honor, just because I divorce her? Just because she got comfortable to be living in my house, Judge? So now I have to pay for her comfort? That sounds stupid, Judge. Court system, that is madness. Like in Johnny Carson's case, I think he divorced after he divorced his wife. He had also pay her $30,000 a month because she got comfortable living like I call them technically a diplomatic prostitute, right? And then if it's a situation like that, and then the person die, then if it was a court order, well then she divorced her, and you're supposed to pay her X amount of money. That could be enforced because you could step in and say I have a court order that says I was supposed to get $10,000.
Okay, now,
can I just? I mean,
go ahead, Chris.
I've just seen something Lady G's posted up, because we can't just consider America. What we've got to say to people is what country you are in. Go to
most countries.
Go to the government websites and see what's laid down in government about what happens in those situations. As far as I know, most countries around the world. No, that's what I'm saying, scientists, because when I looked at it, if there is only a surviving spouse, then they automatically get it. But what I read on the UK one was that if there are children involved as well, then it's only 50% of the estate that goes to the spouse. And the 50% is then, and if there's grandchildren, then the other 50% gets even further divided down between the children.
When there's no will.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
because
they're going by the assumption.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
and then if there's evidence that before Grandpa died, he used to send $10 to give all the grandkids.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I just wanted to, it's really important, and it's connected with this, but it's also detached from it, was when we were talking about sound recording. I sat in a conference yesterday where quoted back to the audience, and I didn't say anything in this instance, I didn't contest it, the first page of a 2-page document that is on the government website where it talks about sound recording. And on that first page, it says very clearly, and which is always quoted back, the first of 2 pages, that either the producer or the person that funded the project are the owners of the sound recording. There is no asterisk connected to that, but on the second page of that document is where it explains only if these sound recording rights are signed over. Now, I was really disappointed that someone from PRS would stand in front of an audience and put that single thing in front of people's eyes without the second page that explains that situation. And I think we really need to make that clear to people, that what keeps getting quoted back by producers or whoever is the first page of a 2-page document, and the conditions for that first page to be in place means that the second page conditions need to be observed as well, yes, or signed over. Do you know what I mean?
Let me point out something here, Chris. You are saying, what about the sound recording again, that if the producer pay for the session, that the producer own the sound recording?
No, what I'm saying to you, scientist, is that there is a government document that is in 2 pages. The first page makes that statement, that in normal circumstances, the producer or the person that funded the project owns the sound recording. But the second page to it says that these are the rights that are around the sound recording, and only if those rights are signed over does the first page scenario come into.
Well, that's what I get, because if that what the first page was saying was true, that would be totally out of sync with the Berne Convention.
Exactly. But what I'm saying, I'm just making a point here, that we hear it being told to us, and we hear it from a reliable source yesterday, where the second page wasn't mentioned. Now, the people that are new artists in that audience would have walked away from there saying, right, okay, they said it in PRS, said it here, that the producer or the person who funded it owns the sound recording.
Well, here's a tricky part.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you mean. I understand, but here's what the tricky part about it is. Okay, the producer, right? The producer find a group, him get money, him spend his money, him hire a musician, pay all the bills, and him created this thing. What kind of lien him have on it? Of course, him have rights that, well then, yes, I funded these things. So, yeah, but you see, it's like owning the house and don't own the land. You have some states in America where they will sell your house, but you don't own the land.
Yes,
it's kind of that's the catch to it. Now, does the producer own the song? No. Does the producer need final permission from the people who create the song to release it? Yes. Can the producer assign that right to a record company? No.
That's exactly what I'm saying. All I'm saying, scientist, is just for the audience and listening, is that if anything is presented to you, that read the whole thing, because the whole thing in that second page, it talks about work for hire, that if you've done work for hire, then yes, the first page is in effect,
because you have to sign and agree and agree.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Please, people, don't take, you need to have all the facts in front of you, and that you're never presented with all the facts. You don't, no one ever says, no producer ever says, look, here, listen to this, I own this, but hang on a minute, I have employed you on work for hire, that means I own it. Now, you had an option of either paying me to do it, and you keep your copyright, or you sign it over to me, and if you sign it over to me, you do a work for hire agreement.
Which is the trick, and is why I'm saying the record company hire a lawyer to put together a contract to look out for their best interests. The lawyer research the law And the lawyer know very well that in order for the record company to own it, that you, the artist, have to sign it towards the record company. Because the unscrupulous lawyer want to make himself look like a great lawyer. And I'm a great lawyer, and I'm going to trick all these artists and get their because I want new Benz. Right? These young artists don't realize that them sign away copyright. This is why they need to change the law that says anything to do with intellectual copyright, you have to get a lawyer so you understand that you're signing away your rights. You're signing away your rights that if this guy give you $10,000, I will give you $1 million, and you make $1 trillion, you're not getting any more money. Do you understand that? And then both a notary and your lawyer is there to tell you yea or nay. Now, when they have that, then of course you understand fully that you only go make a $10, and if this guy make $1 trillion, he'll never get the next penny. Now, if it is spelled out like that, when them right man would have signed a contract like that? You give me $10 and then you make $1 trillion and if I get the next penny, I don't think anybody would sign it.
Maybe the language should be clearer, because to have
that's what I'm saying.
To put the burden on them of having to hire a lawyer might not work.
This is why I say. This is why I said these words, like you could say in perpetuity, but you have to define it, meaning you'll never get a next penny, and this contract is going to be enforced forever. Right? Signing away copyright, meaning you are going to give me complete ownership of this for $10 and you'll never get an next penny. No, if it's spelled out like that, here comes Trevor, if it's spelled out like that, then I would say yes. And again, courts and the judges need to start looking, not just, oh, well, he signed it. What kind of a mindset he was in when he signed it? Was he drunk? Did he have counsel? Was this part of this contract in art and law that no one understands? Courts now need to start looking into these matters when it comes to intellectual copyright. And you see, the problem is, you know, when a lawyer calls a court to rule like this, they technically is trying to create a case law. So somebody else can go and say, well, here is it. One court out with that. But again, that's what you see, the laws are not in sync, because it's against the Berne Convention. And in order for you to sign away a copyright, you need or a record come to own it, you have to understand that you sign away a copyright.
No. So I agree, it needs to be clear.
These things need to be clearly defined in English.
Right.
Can you see how important that is when it comes to us talking about someone's death and the estate and who's entitled to all? Because if the early paperwork's not in place properly, then you're involved again with lawyers fighting a case after someone's died. Do you see what I'm saying?
In a case like Trevor, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, in a case like him. His brother died, Lacksley Castell. Mom died. All right, he can prove, and I'm here to back him, that this is his brother, and he was there 90% of the time when everything was doing. So automatically, he can enforce the estate.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to be talking to Trevor Castell in a few minutes, but just to round this up, because this conversation is going to lead into Trevor's situation. So what would you advise those who are still here, who are still doing their thing musically? What would you advise those people in terms of securing themselves so that this shambles doesn't continue?
Make a will.
It's a will. Get a will and sleep in your final wishes. The executor of the estate.
Can a contract
like King Tubby's daughter? I have a legal document from King Tubby's daughter that I'm the head of the estate.
Now let me ask you this: can an existing contract hinder who gets what?
Well, the contract, well, let's see. Our existing contract. The existing contract said, well, then Paul was supposed to get $10. Paul is deceased. One of the heir get up, and of course that they still have to pay the $10. They can't. So then we made an agreement with Paul, and because Paul is not here now, we're going to give you $5. That can't. That don't so practical.
Okay. Is there anything in a contract that an artist should look out for before signing, or what about if they've already signed, like this word that keeps coming up, in perpetuity?
Well, I know in real estate law that if you buy a house today, you have a cooling off period where you can go back and say, I changed my mind for whatever reason, I don't want this house.
Not in Florida. It depends on where you live.
Well, probably not Florida. So that's why I don't understand with the US. I think these laws should be put straight across the board. But I know in some cases, like California, you allowed a cooling off period, just in case you might catch a mistake, something like that. The unfortunate thing with contracts, after you sign them, they become enforceable.
Where the law stands at the moment, is it fair and free for all?
Well, equal right and justice for those who have money, because we are the court system been rigged. Filing fees is a lot of money. So equal rights and justice to those who can afford the filing fees and get a lawyer to not look at kinder to the walls of tribunal. That's why we see going on here in the US. Because when you look at all the cases versus people who have money versus people who don't have money, you find 99.9% of the time, which is something is wrong with that number. The court is ruling in favor of the corporation every single time. When you look at all the cases, somebody who have money have a murder charge, who gets up.
Now we have Trevor Castell with us, and he's got a very interesting story. I was introduced.
General, a moment before you go to Trevor, I just want to make other thing to the basic rule of in-estate succession.
Go ahead.
Cause we have to aware that all states have rules that you have some states that have rules that bar people from inheriting on behalf of certain deceased people. For example, if someone killed them family, or abandoned them, the person who died, those persons cannot inherit from it, so
yeah.
So that's again fits right. If you what?
There are rules that bar certain people from inheriting on behalf of the person who died. For example, someone who criminally caused the death of the deceased.
Yeah, that's
they cannot profit it, and if a parents abandon or refuse the support of that person when he was a child, or commit crime against a child, or you understand, or whoever, you cannot inherit.
Yeah, that. Yeah, once you cause you can do anything criminal, cause the death.
I did just want to add that before we go to Cheb. Yeah. So you can proceed now, General.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Fitzroy.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.
I want to thank Fitzroy, because Fitzroy was the first person that introduced me to Trevor Castell, but his name came up through Scientist and Doozer again as to the estate and what he's going through. So I'm going to let Scientist lead the way on this one. I want to introduce Trevor Castell. Trevor, bless up.
Hey, how you doing, General?
All right, and it's good to have you on this show today, and we have our panel here. Panel, just bless up Trevor, please.
Welcome, Trevor.
Welcome, Trevor.
Yeah, bless up. Yeah, bless up everyone, man. Respect.
Welcome, Trevor.
All right.
Respect with Fitzroy.
I'm going to let Scientist lead this one. Go ahead, Scientist.
Yeah, Trevor, your mic sound, I think either too close, I need to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it sounds good right here. So, but
yeah,
Trevor, when he used to be around Tubbies, there's two people I know are going to see every morning before I open the studio. It's Trevor or Don Carlos, and his brother Lacksley, and record a bunch of Lacksley Castell album, and couple record company and producer put it out, and now Lacksley is deceased, and they haven't looked for Trevor or anybody to even find where do we send whatever pennies we have for Lacksley, and the producers them is believing that they spend the money and they own the product and they don't have to look out for anybody else. And Trevor been trying to straighten out things.
So let me come to Trevor. Trevor, I want to welcome you to the Reggae Business Talk Show. And one thing we like to do on this show is to establish what went on during the lifetime of your brother, especially your brother, who is no longer with us. May his soul rest in peace. But you spent a lot of time with Lacksley, your brother. At the time, before his death, tell us, lead us up until how we got, the contract with these record companies and what happened during that time and after.
There's no contract.
There was no contract.
My brother, there was no contract. My brother never had a contract. And concerning myself, nobody have a contract. Back then, nobody signs contract.
Well, elaborate for us. Tell us what happened during that time.
Basically, it's just that everybody was trying to get into the business. I think was an easy way around, easy way out. Friends got friends who got beats, and people want to do something. So they come together and looking for artists. It's like fishing, you know what I'm saying? So you heard a little talent and it sounds good to you. You want a piece of it. And that's how they do it. They let you hear a beat, or you put yourself in the position where you want to get involved because you're talented and you want to sing. So you sing for anybody who think they can put your song out and get you somewhere. And that's how it goes, continuous, There was no contract. You're just looking for an opportunity to get somewhere.
So Trevor,
and basically, that's what happened with me and my brother. We looked for an opportunity, and we was at the place where we think we could get one, which is King Tubby Studio. Basically, we lived there, so there's no contract. It's just communication, collaboration, studio.
So he's done this album with this record, and let me ask you: is there an ongoing legal proceeding going on?
Basically, the proceeding that I heard of is going on with other people, like a producer and another producers, And there was a letter came up saying that one producer is the co-writer, and the other basically didn't give me a full indication concerning it, which I could see through the glass, but I try to hold it because I need a last straw for myself. So I don't really want my left one to know what my right hand know, because he's still alive. I'm not dead,
Yeah.
And everybody beating this barrel, beating this drum like I've not existed. So I just don't want to get into it basically as far as my part of it, but
yeah. I mean, it's a touchy situation in that I don't want to jeopardize anything that is ongoing at the moment. Scientists, in this kind of situation, what can Trevor do?
Well, he helped to write some of the songs them. I can testify for that.
Say that again. You're too far from the mic.
He wrote some of the songs them.
Okay.
I can testify for that. As I said, there were neighbors. I see them more than Tubbies. I'm first to say Trevor more than Tubbies. When things terribly happening outside, is Trevor and them watch my back. When need anything in the food, anything, probably need a place or Trevor them always have somebody. Them youth here look out for me.
Yeah.
Right. So I know. So what I would tell Trevor for though, take the record them and put them back out. Remanufacture and put them back out.
So
why?
Hold on. I'm trying to really understand this. Right. Trevor is the person who wrote the lyrics and went into the studio, right?
He wrote the songs them and wrote some of the songs them with Lacksley.
Yeah, I was there with my brother writing the songs. I collaborate with my brother, most of the songs.
So you and your brother wrote the songs, right?
So basically what I'm saying, I didn't take no priority for it. I didn't take no prop for those songs. Right. Because Lacksley Castell is Lacksley Castell, like I tell you before in the show.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if somebody could say they write my brother's song,
right,
and I know this never happened, these songs were written before these people came around. Honestly speaking, those songs was written before even some of the guys who saying that they wrote the song or co-wrote the song come around.
Yeah, here's what's happening in a nutshell. Lacksley passed, and just recently, one of the person, because there must be some big money, put himself as a writer. Me, Trevor, Fitzroy know very well that Lacksley Castell could song, and the person who's saying that write the song, him don't write no song. And then when you look at the common denominator, is all of the dead artists them who didn't register anything. This person is claiming that them write songs for him, so, and them attaching them name to it. And furthermore, Trevor, did any of them look for your mother and say, "Here's Lacksley side of the money"?
No one come around, man. My brother still dead. Like I said, my brother dead, man. He doesn't even have a headstone, man. He just have a regular grave. Nobody come around and said, no one.
No,
I'm not beating nobody head, but no one come around and say, well, even before when he died, nobody came by and said contribution to the funeral.
Yeah,
or sent flowers or sent something. No one says
nothing. Must pay him any royalty when he was alive, and this is an ongoing problem with Jamaican producers. I'm calling it straight.
No, nobody comes around, man. Only person come around is people that know us article, man, like friends and people. Fitzroy Francis can vouch for it. He know my mom personal. A lot of people don't know that. He knows my mom personal. He corresponds with my mom. He, comfort my mom in a lot of things, as far as go by her, see her. We grew up in the same community, but the little people look out for my mom than the big people who we grew up with. And these people was nothing. I know where they just came from abroad looking for something. Scientists know that. So, like they would say that he worked for. I heard one conversation saying that somebody was paying scientists check to check by a week. I wish I was like around when that was that litigation was going on, because nothing like that never happened. People just go around and manipulate people. Nothing never happened. Like that. It wasn't even like that. It's the same thing. I'm in the same boat right now.
So let me ask you a question. So is Lacksley, although he's no longer with us, is royalty still being paid to the next beneficiaries?
We get no royalties from nobody.
That's what we're telling you. They don't pay the estate no royalty.
So basically, they're claiming ownership.
Well, they're claiming they take ownership, and then now they're going into the MCA database and putting themselves as writers.
You got several people that come getting published. You got several people right now.
Look here, man. Look here.
Companies getting published for my brother's song.
Play that straight. Play that straight. Jammers, you need to stop it. You need to stop it. You never write no song with Lacksley Castell.
Right.
You need to stop it, Jammers. Telling you plain straight. What you going to do? You going to say, what out, Batman, come America? You need to stop it. Lacksley dead. His mother there dead. And Trevor is here. Whatever, like a penny, give it to him. Don't go try and put yourself as a writer. You never write no song with Lacksley Castell.
But they say you Mondel song too.
That's a lie. Never write a song.
Basically, they're saying they write you Mondel song too. And those guys don't collaborate with nobody, because
and the common denominator, all these artists dead. Need to stop it. You need to stop it. You need to stop it. This is why this is why one day in a tree general I get up and I leave the whole of them. Right? And Jammies, you need to stop it. I know you probably have your people them listening, but you need to stop it.
Don't call no name again, please.
Well,
continue saying what you're saying. I understand the passion behind it.
I want to throw the arrow them, and I want to throw my spear, and I want to reach the dragon. We're telling you straight.
I hear you. I understand the passion, but let's get constructive.
Here is it now.
Keep a professional scientist.
Hold on. I'm asking for us to be constructive, please. Yeah, Fitzroy, what do you want to say?
No, I'm just saying that scientists keep it professional. Remember our Stockade radar. So we understand.
It's emotional, but I understand, because I know why he's saying it, because he's a little bit emotional. I understand that, man. Respect, but
no, scientist is very emotional. I know that.
I understand. We all understand that, but there's nothing greater than, you know, arming yourself, Trevor, with knowledge, yeah, and that's what this show is all about. So I'm gonna go back to scientists to continue, please. But please,
Trevor, here what you need to do. You need you write some of the song them. People say them write the song them. If you don't contest it and said no, the collecting society go and believe that is them write it, co-write. So you need to contest it as the ear, right? Everybody who put it on the record, you need to send them a letter and ask them for an accounting. Right? The law is that if the artist don't sign it, the artist still own it. The producer might have leaned to the sound recording, but they need permission. They need legal permission to trade with it. They need that permission. No, they don't have that permission. And the common denominator is we've seen this happening to all the dead artists. Other people go ahead putting their name beside it and collecting the dead artists their money and not giving the family them the money.
Well, we do several songs for a lot of people, Sanders. A lot of people do songs for, man. Crazy people. Al Campbell and all those people. A lot of people. I'm just saying his name because I tried to contact him before. And it seems as if he didn't want to contact back to us. I remember when he come around the studio with his little folder, man. He didn't have a bag. That's a little bag with 2 4-track. You know what I'm saying? No, what, 1 4-track and 1 2-track. You know, this thing go way back, man. From when I was a kid, man.
I mean,
and we know everybody. And now my brother did several songs for him. I see one of the songs my brother did for him. He put Trinity on it. Trinity Adawa, Junior Brahma. I do my research too, General. And I see a lot of stuff, man. And these guys are some guys that I look up to and have respect for. I remember when they didn't have nothing, bouncing around. You know, they sing good, but they didn't have really nothing because the business wasn't like it was like now. And they come around and my brother do song for him. A few songs, put him on his grounds, and he didn't even look back. You know, my brother did songs for Lee Scratch Perry wife. Song was a hit song. She didn't even look back. My brother did song for Augustus Pablo. Well, he died. He wasn't a bad person. He was cooperative, you know, but unfortunately, he was a sick guy. He died. My brother did song for his friend. He died too in New York. A lot of people, everybody that my brother did songs for, I know about. And nobody come forward and say nothing. Everybody's grab and flee. I don't know what they're hiding from me for, but they're still selling the songs, right? But they're still selling the song. Every corner that hurt you could turn around, get on the internet and check. Lacksley Castell. And they ask questions. Nobody say nothing. Everybody, ain't nothing happening. Yeah. So take them and put them back out.
I want to bless up all the people in our chat room, V-Tone, to Sharon, Mr. Busby, everybody in the chat room who's contributing to this conversation. Monarchial, bless up yourself, Mama D, each and every one. We're also simulcasting on Reggae Wave Radio as well as Rockers Corner Radio and Storm Vibes Radio. Bless and respect to each and every one. I'm going to bless up Catherine, who's also sharing the shows each and every time. Blessed and respect. We're actually right now talking to Lacksley Castell. Talking about what's happened to
Trevor Castell.
What did I say?
You said Lacksley died. Trevor
is on bread. You say I told you I'm out of sync. You know,
well, in sync with the grave. Damn, that's good. Tell us what Lacksley said from the grave, General. A general can talk to people from the grave and tell us what is Lacksley saying. Well,
I know Lacksley is here thanking each and every one of us right now, so that's for real.
Vindication, you know, vindication. You see, we're vindicating for him.
Trevor, you know, it saddens me because, you know, back in those days, I truly believed at the time that the artists were taken advantage of, you know, and if a record company approached Lacksley and said, we want you to do an album for us, there should have been a contract.
Nobody was doing contracts back in them time there.
They should have been doing contracts. I'm sure contracts were done during them years there.
Yeah, but the
contract. The contract was done, you know. The contract was done, but they do it when the guy take your thing and take it abroad with green sleeve or Trojan or whatever. They have the contract with those guys, the producers.
Well, if that contract was done back then, after they're taking it abroad, whose signature was on it, or who?
Well, no. Here's what he's saying. the producer them is people that just happen to know me, know Tubby's, know musician, and we all donate and do and them get a track. Right? Them go to Lacksley Castell, them, hey Lacksley, and as him say, everybody looking for opportunity. The producer themselves, they don't know the business. Now when them go to whatever record company, them go to the record company, give them a contract. Right? And oftentimes the record company contract is saying that the producer sign over rights to them. Well, first of all, that's illegal. They don't know. The producer don't know. He don't know. The producer don't know what them sign. A lot of time the producer them I'm telling you, just as ordinary people, they don't know anything about music. They might organize and get the musician to go to the studio. What them do as a producer, them sit down on the couch and them sit on one side. They have nothing to input.
So those who are claiming to, and I'm just picking, you know, from what I'm hearing now, my brain is telling me those who are claiming to have written Lacksley Castell's songs, wouldn't that be classed as fraud?
Of course, because they didn't write it. They didn't write it, and then if you did write the song, you see, you need to talk to Trevor Elliott, because if you did write the song, why you just registering your name to it in 2015?
Yeah, basically that's what I'm saying, and it's
you know, he never writing
thing, really, you know.
Writing the song for Lacksley, never writing a song for Lacksley. Lacksley, you have a songbook. Never writing a song for Lacksley, but this is what them doing. Them seeing that money is in writing now. So what you're gonna have now, being as we're talking on this show, you're gonna have all kind of producers claiming that them having musical input, and them going to be telling people just to say that them had something to do with the writing. Then we're going to be mentioning all kind of things in people's song just to say, no, I'm a writer, but you as the song person who write the song, you can take the advice or you cannot take it. Right? The producer them, you know,
that's some good ones, not everybody, you know.
As I say, I'm going to say, you have some good producer, but the rest
especially
of them,
the modern ones.
Yeah, the rest of them, man, from back in them time here, them not right. Them not right. Them following the same old garbage from NC's Duke Reed and Coxon teach them this. And all of them coming following the same bad principle.
I think what we can gather and learn from this and learn from, you know, what we're hearing today is the fact that, you know, read through your contracts before you sign it.
There was no contracts back in that time. Dear.
Well, I'm just talking to each and every one out there who's listening. Something to learn from this case, right, is to always get somebody to represent you, to read that contract through, like a solicitor or a lawyer, whatever. Get them to read it over, yeah, so that you don't continue the cycle of what we're going through right now, which is with Trevor trying to get what is due onto him. You understand?
Yeah. Basically, I'm going through the same thing too, General, because all my songs, I don't get no royalties, I don't get no publishing or anything. And birds of a feather flock together. They come from the same old school, all who doing these things.
So let me ask another question. So if contracts were not written, how does that benefit the artists in this time when they're trying to get what is due onto them? Does that make sense?
Some lawyers like when there's no contracts, because the default rule gets set in place.
Enlighten me more, please.
Well, when there's no contract, the first thing is technically is an illegal release. And producer, when you have a producer artist, he must have a producer artist arrangement that says whatever the both of them agree on. So if the producer go and license a song to the record company and there's no contracts, it put the artist more in control, and lawyers like it. And you see, this is what I don't understand with these lawyers, because when the case go in front of any contract, whether it's a record company lawyer or the artist lawyer, the first thing the lawyer asks for, where is what the contract says. So when you bring up a case against the record company lawyer is going to say what the contract says. And the moment the record company can't produce a contract, the lawyer is supposed to apply candor to the tribunal and say, look, your record company, you're in the wrong.
Let me come to
let me come to settle this.
Let me come to Fitzroy. Fitzroy. bit dry gun. Lady G.
Yeah, it's complicated, and again, I just want to reiterate that, you know, it's a discussion, and we're not here to give legal advice because no one on this panel is qualified to give any legal advice. So it's just a discussion about how we can best help the artist or the party concerned, you know, as to through our own experiences and
I mean, we've had some artists, for instance, that agreed to come on the show, but last minute decided not to because they didn't want certain information getting out because it was an ongoing lawsuit. So we respect their right to do that also, so that we do not jeopardize whatever ongoing lawsuit is going on out there. Although we're talking in the limited sense, trying to get a sense of what happened or what didn't happen or why they didn't do whatever, you know. But at the end of the day, we're trying to arm you with what you are supposed to do so that the cycle doesn't repeat itself.
But General, what's a common denominator? Artists is suing record companies.
Criminality.
Yeah, that's it. Every artist you talk to, and all of these artists we talk to, these people, they're lying, they don't know what they're talking about. I don't think 90% of the time or 99% of the time the artist is at fault. You know, if everybody was getting what they were supposed to get, we wouldn't be having this discussion. So what we're trying to do is to break this vicious cycle. Trevor, in brother song out there, and by now I know it gone over 10. It gone a lot of money that is unpaid money. They didn't pay the estate anything. There is no contract, so technically it's an illegal release, which give the Trevor more bargaining power because it's an illegal release. Jamaica law said that the producer need to have a contract. Right, and producers can't assign copyright to anybody because the producer didn't write the song, not unless the artist have a contract that says so that the producer can do it. So Trevor, what I'd advise you do, try and contact all of them record company first and ask them, hey, what's up, where's the money, let's settle this. Be careful of whatever them going to get you to sign. If them give you anything to sign, go to a lawyer, get a lawyer and make sure that the contract is in your best interest, right? And start to go about it that way. Hey, if them don't pay you the money and them refuse to pay you the money, take some copies of that manufacturer and put it back out.
This is sad, but we hope that each and every one of you out there, you know, really got something from what is being aired here. Let me come to scientists one more time, because let's just flip the script and say, for instance, someone like Joe Gibbs, for instance, who sadly passed away, yeah, and you have someone like Silford Walker who's trying to regain over 200 unreleased tracks, you know, that he had done with Joe Gibbs. What happens in that kind of situation?
Well, it depends on what the contract is. More likely, there's no contract. Right, so the default rule is going to set in place under the Berne Convention. But Silford Walker is reading the same thing with Joe Gibbs. He owns all the rights to his song. Now, if he control a copyright, the person who control a copyright, the name copyright, is the one who can say who can copy or manufacture. And again, this is not my words. This is the words of the Berne Convention that Jamaica and America and the whole world sign up to. The copyright holder is the one who are the only person who can grant permission to make copies. So if he still owns his copyright and he didn't sign it away, then if they don't want to pay him or settle, then he can say, hey, I want a copyright and I'm telling you don't manufacture anymore.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody in the on the panel that wants to ask Trevor any questions?
Yes. Trevor.
Yeah, I'm here.
Trevor.
Yeah.
Negos Records, Negos Roots, Rock, Palmer them. You need to find out if them have no agreement with Lacksley, because you know, the bulk of Lacksley recording was done by them, you know.
Yes, the majority, yeah.
Yeah, majority, 90%, you know, call albums and mostly albums. So I don't know if them have agreement. Well, you know, Greensleeve is bought by VP Record. So I don't know how that gonna really work out, if they're gonna really like give you the honest, really present whatever deal they make with Greensleeve. Then
well, first of all, if there's no contract, and this is part of the problem, if there's no contract, they can't just, because, well, then the VP sell by Greensleeve, then everything is legal because we bought it. It don't work like that. Don't work.
Basically,
like
he never have a contract with. He never have the contract with Negos.
With Negos Roots. And Negos Roots.
No, yeah, I understand. But I'm saying that if Negos Roots, you need to see a contract. If Negos Roots have a contract with,
he don't have any
Greensleeve Records.
Oh, with Greensleeve Records?
It doesn't matter.
No, they never have a contract. I don't think Negos Roots have a contract with Greensleeve Records. No.
But even if Negos Root had a contract with Greensleeve
Well,
Records,
I'm a scientist, man. Scientists who distribute the product.
Listen to what I'm saying. Even if Negos Roots had a contract with Greensleeves, right, and Lacksley Castell deceased, it can't just keep changing hand-to-hand, ownership to ownership, because the person who owned the copyright on the song has to grant that permission. That's law. Go back and read the Berne Convention, go back and read Jamaica copyright law. It clearly says that's the person who grant right to copy. So if Greensleeve and Negos Roots had something and there was no contract with Lacksley and Negos Roots, his estate, based on what law is, can say, hey, we don't give you, the new people, any permission to make any copies.
Okay. Yeah, basically, that's what it is.
All right, cool.
This is because hey, Chris, are you there?
I'm here.
You want to define copyright owner to them, who has the right to copy, because if laws need to be in sync, right, and the law say that the person who owns copyright is the person who grant permission to make copy.
That's right. I mean, but what we've got to do is always, what we say is discriminate between what is intellectual copyright, which is the people that wrote the song, not necessarily the people that recorded it, but the people that wrote the song. They grant the rights to anybody to create a copy of that song, whether it's a sound recording or whatever. And then there's the copyrights around that sound recording itself.
Yeah, so the person who owns the copyright of the song, that's the person who write it. And now I can see why people are attaching them name to it as writers.
That's right.
They can say, well, yeah, I write the song, so I know, give this record company.
Yes. You see, that's where the fraud is coming in.
That's where the fraud coming in.
On the intellectual copyright, not necessarily on the sound recording.
Because them now attaching themselves to it as writers. But hey, guess what? The technicality is the both writers have to agree if there's a co-writer.
That's right as well. That's one of the things that's upheld by the Performing Rights Association.
Right. So if there's a co-writer, one writer can say, I grant you right, without the next agreeing with it. So in Lacksley Castell case, the estate is denying that right to the third party who said, no, we own it.
Right, now, but you see what happens is if that producer has gone there and has contested the intellectual copyright, immediately. No, but scientists, listen, let me finish. If that happens, then immediately any situation is frozen until it's resolved.
That's right.
So then you've got this problem of it going through courts and going through arguments where still the estate is not getting paid its due and proper copyright royalties because somebody has come along and said, no, I own half of that song, and put it into dispute.
Which is what Trevor needs to do. Right. So now
No,
we
but
see.
what I'm saying to you is that you were put in a scenario of a producer going to put their name on it. Well, they would have then, at that moment that they did that, is put that a hold on any royalty payments being made up until that point.
Yeah. So to the fact that Lacksley didn't have any contract, any third party take up that and start making copies of it, it's not in sync with law, because the only person that can grant permission and right to copy is the person who
is the intellectual copyright
holder, not
yes.
the producer.
No.
Not unless the artist, the person who wants to copyright,
no, unless the copy was part of work to hire agreement where they signed their intellectual property rights
to the producer.
Yes,
that's the only way that can happen. So if anybody, look here, if the song come out in a movie or game, anything, you, the person who helped to co-write the song, Trevor, can go and contest it. You see, the Performing Rights Society, them under fear assumption that everything is good because there is no band contest it. So what you need to do, you need to contest it and let them put a freeze on it, right? And then the person who's putting them name as writers, you just ask them one simple question. And plus, you have the songbook, right, Trevor?
Yeah, I got some of the songbook. So there's one. I gotta find that one, but there's a couple of things. Those songs, word to word, over and over, man. If you listen to the song that they're talking about, common sense, you know.
Here's where the importance of the
song. It's a fraud, you know.
Yeah, here's where
I don't think he could sing a verse of that song. I don't think he know a verse of that song. Let's see, study. It's crazy, man.
Go ahead, scientist.
You see, here's what, man. Reggae, sometimes when I see it, it's like it have a curse on it. Because all these people, it's supposed to be one love, one this, and some of the things them that some of them, not all of them, some of them willing to come do. Like you know who. It's unbelievable far them would have got to facilitate fraud. And it's pure lawlessness. There's nothing lawful. It's disgusting with them now. This is why it's suffer. This is why it's suffering the way it suffers. It's like it needs to suffer. Because otherwise you'd be promoting some unscrupulous bastards. I tell you, I don't even like some of them anymore.
Yeah, Go ahead, Sans.
You know, few of them
but you know something,
and some of them still get my respect. But most of them, please, they need a lightning bolt.
But what we need to do, I mean, we need to really reiterate to everybody right now, at this moment in time, especially for the new people, what is available to them to make sure this doesn't happen. If they are with a performing rights association, then they can go to their website and they can download from them a split list for a sound recording that records whether it's work for hire or what part they played. And before they play a note, they should fill that in and get it all signed up so that there is a piece of paper that they own that has all those things in place. But before they even get to that stage, if they're the people that create the song, do the first rule of copyright and mail it back to yourself, and then register it with a association before anybody else gets a chance to hear it, look at it, or whatever. Just look at it that way before you do anything. And when you walk in that studio and say, listen, here's my split sheet, right? Now, before we sing a note or before we play a note, you need to agree to what's down there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the only education that we can give to people through the, you know, that from this point forward, do it right.
Go ahead.
Technicality with sound recording. Just say the producer go to the studio, right on the studio, or record.
Start again, scientist. Start again, because you're crackling up.
I'm pointing out a technicality with sound recording.
Okay.
Just say the producer going to the studio, like in a lot of cases in Jamaica with these producers. Them go to the studio, them come to Tubby's, judge didn't have the money, didn't pay the studio bill. All of them don't pay the studio bill. Technically, that sound recording belonged to us. He didn't pay any money. He didn't pay the studio time. You see where I'm going with it, Chris?
Yeah, I do, but what I'm saying is don't even go to the studio until you've got the stuff in order. From this point going forward.
This is why I'm strengthening what you're saying. Because what that spreadsheet is technically a contract, and it's technically a testament to what happened. It's technically some kind of a will that can be enforced.
Very true.
That's right, absolutely. It's recorded on that day, and in clarity whether it was work for hire or whether there was some other rule in place about recovering the costs of doing the recording.
So the onus is on the artist to really put the right foot forward.
They've got to take control of that part of their business.
The artist and the musician.
Yes, because it's their talent and it's their input that is creating that sound recording.
Those works, right. And that's why...
There wouldn't be anything for a producer to produce if they didn't play or sing a note. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And it's why the Berne Convention stressed... When you're reading it, it don't say one line about producer. It's the only thing it keeps stressing over and over is the people who create the work is the first copyright owner, the first publisher. That's the people who create it together.
Absolutely. At that moment that they make that sound recording, they have actually published that work.
Right. They are the first person who published it, so that's the first owner. So just in case one of the guys them driving and there's some accident, this is why that piece of paper at the studio need to be there. So with that piece of paper, when it get recorded into the government file, the copyright, at least know that that person's success, that person here can say, hey, my dad played guitar on this, where's our portion of the money?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, can I ask a question, General?
Go ahead. I tell you what, the Skype signal is really terrible, so I'm going to ask you to start again, please.
Okay, the question I have is, we had talked about the heirs' responsibilities, and I believe one of those responsibilities is not to transfer the copyright, scientists. And why I'm bringing it up is that these are the things that generally take place after the death of the artist, and how whoever will approach the spouse or the children and say, sign this and do this and do that. And at the beginning of the show,
yes, and it yeah, and it's why it's important you put these things in the will, that you tell your grandkids and the great grandkids, I don't want my copyright leaving the family. And it's why I don't agree with this foolishness where the government come up with that, say you own copyright for 70-something years. And what happens if you want to leave it to your third and fourth generation? Will Mickey Mouse fall into public domain? It will never. You're going to go to one generation. So it's important that when you leave in will, you say that there is no transfer of copyright. Any transfer of copyright, you don't agree with it, you leave that in your will. So if the person come to the ear afterwards and use the lawyer, use any trick word and get them to sign over copyright and they didn't realize it because they didn't have counsel, then it can be some clear. What will happen? You could have a normal the artist was supposed to get, and then the artist own all his copyright, and then the unscrupulous lawyer will go put some trick words into the contract, and then the record company go, here Tubby's daughter, sign here. Does Tubby's daughter know anything about the record business? No. Does she like the business? No, she don't want nothing to do with it. So when somebody come and say, hey, sign here, she don't know what she's signing. She could be signing something. We have the right to use your father photo and images in any way we form. Next thing you know, them have Tubby's photograph in a gay movie. You You know, so this is why these things are important. I can't stress it enough. When it comes to sign away copyright, they need to change the law that you have to have counsel when you sign away copyright or intellectual property.
Yeah. I think we've been having some really terrible signals going on for a little while now, and it did trip out, and I've re-established the link, so I'm hoping everyone is supposed to be able to hear us once again. So apologies on behalf of whatever is going on with the signal. For some reason it's been acting up lately, but we got to grips with it. I hope everyone can hear us. Okay, so yes, scientists, continue.
Yeah. So I wanted to play devil's advocate though in that, scientist, in that when you mentioned at the beginning of the show, you know, how these people approach the family and tell them to sign stuff. Now I'm a poor, you know, person who has kids and mouth to feed, and here comes this, and you know, my just passed away, who's a very popular artist, and here comes the record company saying, here, look, here is, you know, $200,000, sign here. It's hard to tell someone to say, okay, no, stop, I'm gonna go hire a lawyer. First of all, that person can't afford a lawyer.
Well, this is all the shameful thing happening to the law. Equal rights and justice for those who have money. And this is where the law is supposed to look. Okay, look and use the discretion. This is where the judge should use the discretion. Okay, this woman here is broke. She's been offered $200,000. And the record company say, here, sign this. And then when you look at the situation, the record company turn around and make 600 million. Was that a fair compensation? Was she taking advantage? Did they take advantage of a situation by knowing this woman here starving, mouths to feed? Did she understand that she getting 200,000 and the record company is going to make 6 billion and she'll never get an next penny? These things need to be looked at by the court.
I totally agree.
Yes.
Right, so so when it comes to the judge, okay, fine. What type of woman is this? Well, she was hungry, she don't have no money in her bank account. How much did the record company make? 6 billion. It's disproportionate. So overturn the contract. Plus she didn't have counsel. This is where the law needs to go with intellectual property right, because I've known cases where the same exact thing happened. The woman is hungry, she have 10 kids to feed, plus that a baby mother's them. She don't know where her rent coming from. Here, sign this. It's hard to tell her, because first of all, she don't know nothing about, she don't know what she's signing. She broke, she can't afford her bus fare. Are you giving her $30,000 now? Of course she's going to sign it.
Well, you see, so back in those days, they really did take advantage.
They're still taking advantage.
Most definitely. I totally agree. I want to round up the show today, and I want to give anybody the opportunity to say anything they want to say, starting with Fitzroy. Fitzroy gone again?
Yes, no, sorry about that. I was on mute, I was listening.
Okay,
you know?
No problem, super. Is there anything you'd like to say before we round up the show today?
Well, all I can say, it's a pleasure being on the show again, once again, and you know, and thank you for giving me the opportunity and the privilege to share my views with the listening public and the Stockade the network, and you know, all the panel. Great job today.
Thank you, Fitzroy Francis, and you know your input is always invaluable, man. Valuable.
Man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's come to Lady General.
Yeah, you know, as General was saying earlier, and those of you that know him and follow his shows know that he has a show called the Live Conversation Show. And on that show, we would have, you know, lots of artists, and it was the same story over and again, where these people, General would ask them, are you getting paid royalties? No. Well, why not? Well, they haven't given me any money. And, you know, this is one of the reasons this show was birthed, is because we're hoping that we can help someone and point them in the right direction, you know, and help them to get what's due to them. It's so sad to see the things that are happening out there, and I agree, stuff has to change. But I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and for all the input.
Chris.
Yes. Well, first of all, great show and thanks everybody. But I think one of the things that's coming out of all of this is that we've got people that are signed up to performing rights associations, musicians unions and things like that. There needs to be a campaign where those people are putting pressure on something like a revision of the Berne Convention so that international law is in place that covers all of these loopholes that are appearing. And it's getting worse with digital and internet and downloads and this and that and all the other, that there needs to be a complete revision with an international sign-up.
Yeah.
And the only way I can think that that can happen is by lobbying those people that take your funds and are supposed to represent you, by coming for them to come together and put pressure on that being revised and brought up to date in a modern situation where it is so much easier now to rob someone's work than it was 10 years ago.
Let's come to Fitzroy before we come to Trevor. Sorry, let's come to Scientist. Sorry.
I completely endorse and back what Chris says. There needs to be a revision and the laws need to be in sync. But most importantly, wills. All these artists write a will and leave it, name who you want your successor to be, name who you want to give power of attorney to in case anything happens to you. Don't sign no automatic renewing contract. If you do sign a contract that's automatic renewing 10 years, before you forget, write them a letter and say you're not going to be renewing.
There's a crackling going on.
Right, and contract and register your works.
Thank you, Scientist. Let's come to Trevor Castell, and thank you for being part of the show, and really thank you for sharing whatever you could share with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure being in show, General. You know that. It's a pleasure always to come on anytime, you know. But the great thing is I learned a lot. As we were speaking, I learned some new stuff, and that was good. And I really appreciate Fitzroy, Scientist, you, Lady General, Chris, and all the panels for your input. It's very appreciating. Opened my eyes more to some things. So,
you got good people around you, my brother. You got good people around you.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate that, man. And, you know, to see how it turns out. Respect, you know.
Wish you all the best,
I really
man.
appreciate it. Come back anytime, you know, if you need me.
If anytime we
I'll let you know what's going on along the road, you know.
If we can ever be of any assistance, please just let us know, you know.
Most likely.
Lady General, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that it would be great to have Trevor back to give us an update. That would be great, Trevor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Most likely along the way, you know, I'll let you know what's the status going to be, because this is not something to play with, you know. It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know, all these people, when there was a little bit of nothing, you know, till they turn to something, till they go back to a little bit of nothing again, so they kind of desperate. So
yeah, Trevor,
you
need to do what Fitzroy telling you. You need to go to Jamaica and set up Lacksley Castell estate.
Yeah, man, it's in the making right now, Santos.
Okay.
So that's the status right now. It's in the making. Everything is at their state. It's getting together. Building blocks, you know. It's in the making. That's why I didn't make too much suggestions, you know, because the horses, you know, are out trying to feed, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to feed off of me, you know.
Yep, I totally understand. Well,
and the people that we have respect for, to General, all these people right across the board, they never come along and compromise, you know. So that's why some things I don't want to say, because some people can have a good heart but not a good mind, you know, as far as communicate with people, you know.
Wow.
Well, the business go, man.
I thank you so much for being part of the show. I want to thank the listeners for also being part and contributing, you know, with your comments in your chat room. I want to personally bless up 9211 Jen Cheshire. Bless up yourself. Lady General, Mama D, Marcia, Monarchial Entertainment, Mr. Busby, Sharon, V-Tone, and a host of others from different countries. We've got people from Barbados right down to Spain, to the Netherlands, to France, Germany, Canada, USA, UK. Many people logged in, and thank you each and every one of you. I got to bless up Catherine, because she's always, you know, pushing the shows that we do. Catherine from France. Bless
oh, that's my friend there, man.
Yeah, she's awesome. Really awesome.
Yeah, she's my friend there. I wonder if Lady G, we have any time for Lady G reading her comments?
Lady G, can you see any comments you want to read out?
Can we mention Sharon as well for supporting our page?
Sharon, God bless you, Sharon. You know, that's my right hand, left hand.
Yes, I was going to say, actually, you know, giving thanks to Sharon, who works in the background while we're on the show, and posts information into the Reggae Business Talk Show page on Facebook. If you look there, you'll see articles, and sometimes she posts them also in the chat room. And
any comments from the chat room now?
Sharon asked a question, said what are, oh, I'm sorry, no, she didn't, sorry, I'm sorry. Let's see.
I think Monarchio might have put a couple of things up there.
Monarchial Entertainment had questions about the estate, but I explained that since it was an ongoing case, it wasn't, you know, our place to dig for certain information. And basically it was just people mentioning who Lacksley Castell had recorded for, Jalife, Augustus Pablo,
V-Tone put some
Roy
information
Cousins.
there too.
Sorry, what was that, General?
V-Tone put some information there too.
Yes, V-Tone. He says here, and Trinity. I'm not sure if he means that he Lacksley recorded for Trinity or something we were talking about.
No, he didn't really record it. It didn't record it for Trinity. Let me correct you real quick. It didn't record it for Trinity. It recorded for Al Campbell, but Al Campbell somehow put Trinity name on the song, so he produced it. That's what I was trying to say.
Big up V-Tone. V-Tone there is a great historian. And if record music that I can't find, if V-Tone can't find it, forget about it. He's a great historian. He knows about the reggae business good. And he knows about all the different frauds been taking place and have it documented too.
Right. Bless up V-Tone. Thank you so much. God bless you. All right, we're going to end the show. I'm going to end the show with a track which features Lacksley Castell. Okay, it's called Babylon World. Tell me about that tune, Trevor.
Yeah, Babylon World, you know what I'm saying? It's a nice song, you know? Good song.
It
did it for Augustus. Yeah, this for Augustus Pablo, you know?
Augustus Pablo.
Oh, no, it didn't for Augustus. It did for, that's a good song. I think he mixed that song?
I don't know, but most of the Lacksley song them, I mix 90% of them.
Okay. Well, this one is called Babylon World.
Big song.
Play that particular track anyway. And I'm going to end the show by saying enough love and respect to each and every one. The next show, I'm not too sure how we're going to do it because I'm going to be missing for at least 6 weeks. But we're going to see how we can record and do the show while I'm away. So we're going to be working on that, and we will give you more information as to what's going to happen with the next couple of shows to come. Okay, so keep on listening to Stockade Radio and the Conscious Partners Network. Once again, I got to bless up the panel. God bless you all. We're going to get out of here. Enough love and respect.
Yeah. Big up.
All right then. Take care, guys.
Respect, man.
All right. That is the panel right there. Thank you, each and every one of you, for keeping it tuned. This is Lacksley Castell, Babylon World. Take a listen. Lacksley Castell, rest in perfect peace.
tuned to Stockade Promotions Radio.
Babylon is no place for the righteous children. Babylon is no place for righteous children. There is a green land far, far away without the city wall, where the dearest and best is seated on his throne, and he rules all creation, and only the righteous shall go. Yes, black people, only the righteous shall go. Yeah, black people, only the righteous shall go. Black people,
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Conscious Partners Network. We are Rockers Corner Radio, Stockade Promotions Radio, Kingdom Nubia Radio, Storm Vibes Radio, Ito On Air Radio, Culture Vibes Radio, Roots Dynamic Radio, Afro Carib Radio, Reggae Wave Radio, Reggae Storm Radio. We are raising the awareness of artists across the globe.